as dads go, it's a balance between what I guess is a traditional role of provider versus recognising that that provision of things in a material world has become completely skewed. And the definition of provider is almost now non-stop work, very little time with children, to essentially amass a great chunk of money and then quit one day. By that stage, your kids don't know who you are anyway. You know, at the extreme end, you might have guys who work, you know, in a highly competitive environment who might spend 30, 40 weeks away a year. And their way of spending time with the children might be just to fly for 24 hours from London to spend a day with their kids and go back again. And not recognising that everything they probably have and might need is right at their right in their lap. And so at some point, there's a saying, you know, sell your soul and buy it back again, but you can never really buy your kids back. It doesn't happen. And I think there was a time when my thought was that that was what needed to happen, was that I could get to a point where you would achieve something financially and then be able to sit back. But for that to happen, nature may not actually, in many ways, that was possibly not going to be supported. And playing a high-risk game for some potential outcome at the risk of not being around your children, and then for them at 15 going, sorry, you're not relevant to me. And not being relevant to your children is probably the greatest thing, which was what happens when if one's father becomes an alcoholic and essentially creates an environment that is quite low grade, you do not want to you're not attracted to that. The laws of attraction start to apply. The laws of attraction will start to apply with your children too. If you are not relevant to your children, then essentially at a deep fundamental level, the laws of attraction start to break. And you're sitting there wondering why your kids aren't coming over on the weekend, or your kids don't want to have dinner with you, or your kids won't speak to you after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It is because you are not relevant to them. It is because the laws of attraction are saying you are actually rejecting, you are not someone that people want to be with. And that is what we can potentially get to if we don't maintain a connection with our children from a young age, because at some point they go, who is this guy? He doesn't talk my language. He doesn't know what actually interests me. And that is what happened. That is what I saw my dad shift from being a man who could not have been more relevant to young boys, young sons, and my friends. I mean, the things that he did for my friends and my brother's friends in the country as teenagers and kids was extraordinary. I mean, shoot stuff, ride stuff, drive stuff. We could all drive at the age of 10. You know, we could do so many things at young age as boys in nature. I mean, you couldn't have got a better upbringing. You know, for my friends and other families, we'd host big picnics in the country at Jude House. It was just an extraordinary upbringing. Then he was really good at also having a few beers with us, so everyone could come down to the Plowman's place in Berrima and get, driving the back road from Berrima, from the Berrima pub. And Dad was really good at that. At some point, though, the idea was, hey, we need to go from boys to young men to adults. And at that point, his conscious state is, well, alcohol is what is actually stimulating me. And at that point, potentially someone's relevance actually shifts considerably. Deep down, we don't really want your father to be the fun guy drinking with you and whatever. We are then looking for your father to help you manage, to help guide you through life, business, whatever it might be. But at that point, if your father is not there in that way, it becomes very hard to relate to them or to actually see them as a guide. You could argue that in that instance, someone flatlines in terms of their own evolution. They stay as children, and that others then start saying, well, I need to become a man. I've got to go into the world and actually work out how to do it myself. Because unfortunately, my father does not represent that person.